Hi everyone, welcome to another week in review. I hope all is well with you on this very fine weekend. As it's kicking off, I'm going to be short, not long before you, but if you missed this live, you can catch the replay on this feed or the video uploaded to YouTube, and you can watch some of the clips on TikTok, Twitter, and even on YouTube itself. So here it is. I'm going to start with COVID numbers. So as of this week, we had 82,154 new cases. That's a decrease by 13,000. Overall, there are 774,631,444 reported cases of COVID-19 around the world. Now, if we get into the United States, if we get here at home in this region, for the last 7 days, we had 93,260 new cases. That is a 16,000 jump. Overall, there is still over 103 million reported cases. In terms of the fatalities here at home, there has been 1,174,676 reported deaths. So the death toll is almost at 1.2. Yeah, we're still dealing with this mess. Now, in terms of vaccinations, they are at least still at 70% of people as of 2020. December 14th. Well, they said the first vaccination dose was December 14th, 2020. But since November of 2023, there's been 70% of the country has been vaccinated. While also in November of 2023, only 36% of the population has received its first dose. Not first dose, it's booster shots. And in terms of the most vaccinated countries, we're not even in terms of receiving the first dose, we're still at the 80th percentile. And keep in mind, the vaccines are free. We got the most accessibility to the vaccines, and yet we're not the most vaccinated area. That's kind of bad. Something is wrong with that. That's why there's these outbreaks of measles, and the chicken pox is making its resurgence. We had monkeypox that made its resurgence, and RSV making its way. You know, people need to take this seriously, because this here is no joke. Like, COVID is literally no joke. Like, this thing has impacted us for the last 4 years, and people still think it's a hoax. People think it's curable. Well, people think you are invincible once you get it. No, you're not, because you deal with health implications along the road. You deal with asthma. You deal with developing cases of other respiratory issues, trouble with breathing, trouble with eating. You lose your hair. There's health implications that comes along with COVID-19. That's why people tell you to take the vaccine and still wear your mask. I still wear mine, and I double mask, because I live in the most populated city in the country and probably the world, and there's a lot of things that can go on. Even if you live in spread out areas, you know, those spread out rural areas in this country are the least vaccinated areas. So you may want to protect yourself. You're not low, and you're not in the clear. So that's all I'm saying. Now, moving on, right, shifting to politics, and for the 2024 elections, the Republican South Carolina primary is taking place tomorrow, actually today, later on today. And I believe the polls close around like 7-ish. So just to be clear, to see where, you know, the polls are for the South Carolina primaries, according to 538.com. Donald Trump, as of today, is at 61.7, while Nikki Haley is at 34.1%. Keep in mind, she is a native of South Carolina. She served as the governor of South Carolina for about 7-8 years, and she's trailing the former White House occupant by double digits. So when folks are like propping up this candidate and about Nimrata, saying that, you know, she's the old guard of the Republicans, she's a moderate Republican, let me just explain to you about Nimrata Nikki Haley. When Nimrata Nikki Haley was governor of South Carolina, there was no moderate positions ever taken by her. If anything, she governed as a Tea Party Republican. She ran basically as a Tea Party Republican. Her stances are very Tea Party Republican, Reagan-esque, in the worst way. You want to talk about, signing an abortion ban in the state? Like a 6-week abortion ban? She did that. She did not expand Medicaid and Medicare. She did that. She cut back costs in South Carolina for Black and brown people in the state. That includes some of my family members that still live down there. She did that. This woman is no moderate. And she said the say gay bill for Ron DeSantis' state, as bad as that is, she said it didn't go further enough. And now all of a sudden, since she's running for office, she wants to, you know, have a moderate stance on abortion. We could come to a consensus. No, I'm not coming to a consensus when it comes to my body. As a woman who's still at a childbearing age, yes, I am over 35 and I'm still at a childbearing age, I don't want to have a consensus on my reproductive health. I'm sorry. No, I can't compromise with that. The government should not be in my uterus. It has no business in my uterus. So Nimrata can go on with that. We could have a consensus about this, and we could have a consensus about that. We could have a consensus about when it comes to the retirement age, it should increase, or maybe it shouldn't. Like, I don't want to come to a consensus with something that 70% or 80% of the country don't agree with. No, she's not a moderate. So I'm going to need for some Democrats, some of those white liberals, and even some of the Black people that want a healthy Republican Party. Guess what? The Republican Party has been a problem and been a thorn before I was born, definitely during I was born, and afterwards. You can see history for itself. And speaking of the Republican Party, and speaking of this specific demographic, this video that I'm going to share tells it all. So here's the thing. White Republican women, white moderate independent women, even some white liberal leaning women are all of a sudden are pro women because it's this woman that's running for president, but not that woman. So my question for white women, back in 2015, 2016, when was the elections 8 years ago, around this time, A specific woman was running, had all the credentials, was in the U.S. Senate for 8 years, served as the Secretary of State, then ran for office, worked on policy. Of course, she was a first lady before all of that. A decorated lawyer, well-trained lawyer, great defense lawyer, great prosecutor. Had all the qualifications to be the nation's next leader, and possibly the first woman leader if we ever had it at the time. What did y'all do? Y'all did not support that woman because she didn't leave Bill Clinton. She was not the ideal woman for this country. She was not the right leader for this country. But y'all chose the most qualified woman over the most unqualified man who filed for bankruptcy 4 times, who scammed people throughout his entire career, who is a racist and a bigot. From Queens. Y'all chose him over her, despite his language. Because some of y'all was like, his language. And y'all voted for him at 52, 53%. And y'all continue to support him 4 years later, despite everything that he's done. Y'all supported him, increased it by 55%. And then 4 years later, we're around this presidential era. Y'all continue to support this man. And Nimrata too. She ain't perfect. She's just like him. Yeah. But y'all support this man. Y'all gonna support him by what, 57%? This is why I don't trust y'all in the booth. Y'all want civility and y'all want to be united with the country, right? Y'all want unity. But when it comes to the voting booth, you do the exact opposite. This is why black women, brown women, Latina women, Asian women, indigenous women, even queer women don't trust y'all because you do shit like this. This is why I don't have really no faith in majority of white women. And no, this is not coming from a racist place. This is coming from a very concerned and sincere place. Because you guys are continuing to vote for a party that wants to strip your rights away as a woman. Your reproductive health care rights, your right to have equal pay, to have a decent job in this country, a living wage, and education, a good education for your children. You guys don't see to understand that the Republican Party is governing from a place of dictatorship, a place of total restriction. But y'all want smaller government. Y'all need to get y'all priorities together and think wisely of what y'all doing. And speaking of more, since I'm at that time to read, I'm almost finished. Dean Phillips had the audacity to talk crap about his senator, Amy Klobuchar, the speaker, well, the former speaker Emerita, Nancy Pelosi, the president of his party, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., and many others in the Democratic Party. We all know that he talked about Vice President Kamala Harris in an article from The Atlantic. We still have receipts. Yeah, Dean Phillips is an op. Nobody knew who he was, and he should have just stayed low-key and just voted 100% with Democrats. But despite the fact that, you didn't do that and you went and ran for president, and you just made yourself a national embarrassment. You are the national embarrassment. And trust me, you're going to drop out because a lot of your people are quitting on you because that's the tea and that's what it is. And you're not running for re-election, which is great because somebody is deserving of your seat, because not your ass. And you're going to be on TV or maybe be on like Russian propaganda television, wherever you're going to be at. You're going to be a low-class bum because that's what Dean is operating as, a low-class bum. And more on to Chaos Agent, since I'm on Dean Phillips. I just want to say the following names: Michael Santiago Render, Leonard Larry McKelvey, Nina Hudson Turner, Brianna Joy Gray. These 4 following black people, and possibly more, are the people to not listen to. Because one, they're governing, they're operating on grievance politics. They haven't been invited to the table by the Democratic establishment. And they're just not that smart. They don't understand how government works. But the one who is appalling the most, who should know better, is Nina Hudson Turner. But that's what happens when you sell out for white leftists that don't give a fuck about you. But I digress. So, anyhow, these 4 people are the people to not listen to. Because these people will be fine with a Republican president because they make over $1 million. If anything, you guys are supporting their business. You giving them your little earned paycheck to support their nonsense. I know I won't be that one to give them my money because they're not smart, and I think they're dumb because they don't use their common sense. And they don't care about their community, because if they care about their community, they wouldn't be talking this dumb shit. So I said what I said. And lastly, I addressed them before. I'm going to address them again. To the young people, that includes millennials around my age, you 80s babies, some 90s babies, and Gen Z. I want to tell y'all that you sitting out this election or thinking about sitting out this election, you will suffer greatly. You will suffer at a point where you won't have the rights that your parents had or earned when they were coming up. Reproductive rights, strip. Your civil liberties, strip. Marriage equality, that's included, strip. Cancel student loan debt, you can forget that shit. What is it? Racial equality? Yeah. No. And housing. Having home ownership? Oh, that's obsolete. So think about all of these things that I just said that you will lose under a Republican administration, a Republican Congress included. You need to think about those things because those things can have ramifications from now and 20 years. A Republican president, what they can do in 4 years can hurt you for 20 years. What Donald Trump did for 4 years, it's taking us a while to clean it up because he did everything possibly to weaken this country. Not just domestically, but on the foreign level. So you need to think about those things because those things can have ramifications on this country and your lives forever. Be wise. Be wise. And, you know, just to tout the Democratic agenda, I know people are going to call me a shill, but I don't give a fuck. You know, this administration who has governed with a divided government got the American Rescue Plan passed, which got shots in your arms, gave some families money, lifting them out of poverty. Unfortunately, it was not extended due to 2 senators, which 2 of them, you know, their jobs are on the line. I digress. The infrastructure bill, which is rebuilding the roads, bridges, and also giving you high-speed internet. Let's see. Canceling the student loan debt. What else they're doing? They're bringing down, some of them are bringing down the cost of, you know, items, even though it's taking a minute, but we're in an economic recovery and we're making a fast recovery, which our GDP has grown. Also, there's more job creation. Let's see, because I'm missing some things. Also, there was more money given to state universities as well as state colleges and even some HBCUs. There's something else, because, you know, there's a lot of accomplishments. Oh yeah, bans on chokeholds and no knock warrants. That's a big plus, because our criminal justice system is effed up. There's, you know, a pathway to home ownership. So there's a lot of things this administration has done with a divided government. A divided government. That's big. Is there more work that needs to be done? Absolutely. But it starts if we vote, not just only executive level, but we got to vote for the legislative level. That's Congress. That's the House of Representatives, which their seats are up every 2 years. And it's the Senate, which is 33 seats up. So you need to think about, you know, what these things can have on your life. Because sitting out to vote, sitting out and not voting, it's not going to cut it. So you could think about that. But until then, folks, have a good night. Peace.